All right, let's put the spotlight then to the biggest IPO in India to date, and I'm talking about Hyundai's IPO. What has day two been like after a steady demand on day one from investors for their IPO? Let's take it across to Varun, who has the latest numbers. Varun.
Well, so if you look at the subscription figures of Hyundai Motor India Limited IPO on day 2, it has been subscribed 42%, with the QIB portion getting subscribed 58%, NII getting subscribed 26%, retail portion getting subscribed around 38%. Now, when you compare these figures with some of the recent IPOs, it looks like the overall response has been a little less. But when you compare with yesterday's number, when the overall subscription figure was 18%, so the incremental subscription today has been around 24%. There are a number of factors due to which the overall subscription figure has been a little less. One of the major factor has been the size of the IPO, because this is the largest IPO in the history of Indian capital markets. The company is raising around 28,000 crores. So such large IPOs takes time to get fully subscribed. Other than that, if you look at the overall sentiment in the market, it is not that great, especially the sentiment towards auto companies has not been great recently because of the sales numbers of Navratra and Dasera. Other than that, if you look, there are several companies in auto sector which are listed in the stock exchange, and if someone wants to take an exposure, so you have many options available. So there are several factors because of which you can see the overall response has been a little less, but there is one more day for to apply for this IPO. So let's wait and watch for the final figures tomorrow.
See, the issue will sail through. So I don't think there's a problem that they'll not be able to raise 20,000
Yeah.
crore. The point is that will it really create excitement, and will it really be the talk of the town? The answer to that may well is an absolute no. A, the time is different. B, the issue is also you cannot compare Maruti and Hyundai, which is what everybody is doing, that okay, Maruti is trading at X and this is at a deep discount to Maruti, so go and subscribe. I don't buy that theory, because we are looking at a different franchise, different margins, different market share, different profile. C, the auto industry per se is going through a cyclical downturn. 4, the size is so large that this again would be an institutional dominated stock, not a retail dominated stock. So issue will sail through. You may not get an IPO zing. I will not be surprised that if you actually see a flat to a very mild positive listing for a Hyundai IPO, unlike what we've seen in the previous IPOs. So the IPO pop is out, grey market premium is gone. This stock will qualify for someone who wants to invest in it for next 2 or 3 years, because this company in a sense has demonstrated ability and capability. It can grow at a rate which is higher than the industry average, and the stock can do much better than what, let's say, the pack or what, let's say, the Nifty would do. I'm just thinking through it, that the minute you say Mahindra and Mahindra, you would say a story built on SUV. The minute you say Maruti, you would say a story built on small car with 45% market share. The minute you say Tata Motor, you would say EV and JLR. What is that X factor for Hyundai? They're good and great in everything. So 14% market share, holding on, great return ratio. But markets always look for that X factor, which frankly is not there.
Consider maybe Tata Motors, M&M, and Maruti. So Tata Motors has a JLR as a leg, which is the largest of the pie, and for M&M, it's largely the tractors and some of the parts which comes into play. So I think we really don't have much of a choice when is kind of a direct comparison to Maruti. And some of the positives which stand apart for Hyundai vis-a-vis Maruti has been the higher share of SUV sales, the higher margins that they realize, and as well as the greater share of export that they do. Hyundai is an option. You can see a good amount of shift happening from institutional side, from maybe Maruti to Hyundai. Even they have a superior product slate, their margins, the return ratios are better. So I feel it is here for a good term, and it's a decent issue to subscribe to.
So I think it's a decent stock for a long term. No excitement, nothing immediate what we are seeing with IPO. So there's no compulsion to subscribe to an IPO. I would be happy if I get it a little cheaper from current, let's say 25, 26 times. But overall, I think a very steady company with a realistic expectations. If you have, you may add in the portfolio. One good thing, however, is that it's probably the only player which is strong in each powertrain. So you have the IC platform. They are launching 2 CNG variants this year. On EV, they already have 2 models, which is Ioniq and Kona, and they probably will come with Creta EV, which I think Creta has been one of the best-selling UVs. And if they can come up with a nice EV variant, that can give a bit of a fillip to the numbers.
With the capacity increase now in the pipeline, new EV models which are being planned, I think if you look at say medium to long term, the issue continues to look attractive. But given the fact that it is coming at around say I think 25, 26 times trailing, so it's not a very cheap IPO. But I think for the investors who are ready to take say medium to long term viewpoint, they will definitely end up making money. So
there is no bullishness in this story. It is just a story created by the Indian public. For what reason, I don't know. Because there are 8 or 10 global listed auto companies, and you can see what has happened to them in the last 3 months, 6 months. Every one of them has warned. One of our bigger companies in India is basically 50-60% exposed to the same market. How can it be that 9 out of 9 companies warn? Our company doesn't warn, says that we will close down the plant because there is too much inventory, but in the long run, we are bullish. Overall, I think that auto is one of the worst sectors to invest in. And I think that the IPO, this new IPO will most probably on listing will be plus minus par.
I think that this is a huge, huge issue. But we said the same thing when LIC came, and that got swallowed. I think this will also get swallowed. It's a good IPO for India, and I think that it will probably take money away from some of the other companies like Maruti and M&M and Aisha and all the other companies. But I think that at the end of it all, we do need more, and this is good quality paper, and this is a company that's doing well. So why not? And it'll be like Maruti, where Maruti gets half its earnings, more than half its earnings from Maruti India. Hyundai could actually end up being the same place with them.
Yeah. It is an OFS. Let's remember that nothing is coming back to the company. But I think the numbers so far have held up pretty well. So I think the product launches, the volumes, the top line growth, the margins have been reasonable enough. And to a certain extent, I think if an investor has a medium-term view, we can subscribe to the IPO. But I've also got an equally important point to mention that Maruti in the same breath, right? The mid-segment cars that they operate out of, the expectation largely is that they should recover their market share over the next few quarters. And there is not much of a valuation gap between Maruti and Hyundai. Maruti gets a sort of a premium valuation for all these factors. So Maruti also should remain on your watch list.
I would like to, recommend and even try to buy Hyundai post listing. I don't really invest in IPOs. It's a big waste of time. But Hyundai, if you get it at a good price, is something you should buy and hold in your portfolio. This is a sector which should do really, really well going forward. So yeah.
There comes a time when your heart calls for you to arise. Plant your feet solid into the ground. Decide your own limits. And then break right through them. Become something more. It's my time to rise.